concerned about.
We've got Sonya Madison joining us today. She joins us each and every week around this time to discuss the legal issues of the day. And there has been a lot of things to do with this government shutdown. There was also there's also a bunch of other things going on in the legal world as well. One of the things that I wanted to get your thoughts on was something that doesn't have anything to do with the government shutdown, but a new study reveals that relationships that begin in the workplace most likely to result in marriage. This comes from the Daily Mail. Apparently, couples who met at work were most likely to marry. Meeting through friends also resulted in long-term love. And by contrast, those who met at the bar tended to have flings. Short-term romances were also likely for those meeting on vacation. Sonya, what does this study say for the workplace? I know there's a lot of people that always say, never ever get involved with anybody that you work with, because if the relationship goes bad, you probably ought to find another job. But this study proves different. Where do you come down on this?
Well, the study really was saying, in comparison to those other ways of meeting people, this was one of the ways that ended in most likely being married. But even that, it was a small percentage. It was like 14% of the 2,000 people that were used in the study pretty much had relationships in the workplace that led to marriage. So I wouldn't, for your listeners, I wouldn't take that to mean that you should have workplace romances, because while for those that don't lead in marriage, and again, that was only 14%, there is so much at risk if you guys do break up.
Yep.
And there's also just so much at risk in terms of if it's your supervisor, even if it's your coworker, it causes awkwardness in the workplace, and then also just cause a lot of tension and stress in the workplace that can lead to other health-related issues. So I still say go with extreme caution. One reason that probably that 14% did make it was because there was so much at risk, and you really do need to think about it long and hard and be ready, both parties, to take that risk, and it needs to be a risk worth taking before you jump into it.
We've got Sonya Madison joining us today. She joins us each and every week around this time, and we were talking government shutdown earlier, but I also want to talk with her about this new study that is out. It's in the Daily Mail. It's about relationships that begin in the workplace most likely to result in marriage. And of course, we all know Sonya Madison. She's the workplace attorney of Atlanta, Georgia, and legal analyst for various online mediums, including this radio broadcast. She's been on several TV and radio shows as well, sharing her expertise on America's workplace policies and practices. And break down this part of this stat here that said couples who met at work were most likely to marry, and meeting through friends are also resulted in long-term love. What do you make of those two nuggets of information coming out of this study and this story?
Well, one thing that is not as surprising that both of those instances, whether it's through friends or in the workplace, why those could be or could lead to success stories is because in both situations, the other party has a sense of how, or has some kind of foundation of who the other person is. When you're in the workplace, you have two people who are not meeting in the sense of trying to impress each other, but they are meeting as colleagues and as workers. And as a result, you probably get to see a little bit more of the person that you would see if you didn't know them. Also, there's that common interest of the fact that this is something that we enjoy doing at work. We both, either if you don't enjoy it, you both understand the stresses related to it, and you both understand what each other's position is and what their strengths are. When it comes to meeting someone based on a friend's recommendation, that mutual friend that you guys have is a mutual foundation for the relationship, or at least that friend can tell you a little bit more about the other person that you're not going to know in the bar or just randomly seeing someone. And I'm sure you're not surprised to hear that the least likely to lead to a relationship is meeting each other at a club, as it tends to be more of a one-night stand or a fling.
Yes, I've never understood. I remember way back in the day that that used to be the commonplace. I know that there's all these dating sites, but it seems to me that there is a a lot of places such as the bar to meet, guys, girls, what have you, and it doesn't lead to lifelong relationships. I've always wondered why people thought that it would.
Well, a lot of them are probably just wishful thinking, and I'm sure one person of the two people, one of them knows that they're not interested in a long term when they're seeing someone at the bar.
Yeah. We've got Sonya Madison with us today. She is way too smart for to go out and meet guys at bars, I will have to say. She's with us today. She's the workplace attorney in Atlanta, Georgia, and a legal analyst for various online mediums. I would have to say, Sonya, not that I know anything here, but I would have to say that you going out and meeting men, they are going to have to keep up with you in the smarts department. And you're a damn smart cookie, so I don't know if you're ever going to meet the right guy.
Well, thank you. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I either prepare for a long-term single life or not.
Now, Sonya, let's talk a little bit about in relating to this story, the sexual harassment policy. Sometimes, like we were talking earlier, there could be all sorts of situations that come about if you're meeting someone at work. And that's the one thing that I'm really concerned about when it comes to dating and relationships at work would be the either side. It doesn't have to be, it always seems to be in this argument the female side of things. But the sexual harassment policy, what should be done, whether it be male or female? Should you know your company's sexual harassment policy, or break this down for me?
Well, definitely you should know your company's harassment policy if they have one. And not every employer has a policy, and there is no legal requirement that they do. However, it does protect employers in the event an harassment occurs because it allows employees to know how to report it, and it better protects them in terms of if the employer later says, well, we have the preventive measures, and they actually don't if they don't have a policy. So as an employee, yes, you need to know what it is. Also, a lot of times the policy, it will define what harassment is, and it will give you the reporting procedures. And so if you don't know your policy, you don't know whether or not someone is crossing the line, and you don't know how to report it.
That is a very smart way of looking at things. We've got Sonya Madison with us today here on the broadcast. She joins us each and every Tuesday around this time, talking about all the issues of the day as far as legalese. She cuts through all that, and she makes a lot of the complex understandable here. One of the other points that's brought up here is don't brag about your relationship on social media websites. I don't know why we have to keep saying this. I guess it's because people don't listen. But what do you make of this? Could this cause issues with colleagues and supervisors at work?
Definitely. For one, if your employer has a policy against workplace romances and you're bragging about it on social media, you're pretty much telling the employer that you're violating the policy and that you should be terminated or some way disciplined. So that's one thing. But also, a lot of times what employers really want is they want employees that either represent them well or at least represent their brand or their clients or whoever in a light that is complementary to the mission of the statement that the employer has. When you're bragging about these relationships, then clients or peers or whoever is viewing it, and they know that you're representing this company, so they could easily take that as, well, you're spending your time at work trying to woo some female or trying to get to know some guy instead of being focusing on the services that your employer is trying to provide.
We've got Sonya Madison with us today. She joins us each and every Tuesday talking about the issues of the day. And before we let you go, Sonya, I know that you have the incredible website, cloopholes.com. What are some different things people need to be aware of and need to go check out over there?
Well, there was a study out last week that it was out in New York, but the New York Attorney General was instituting a lot of fines for companies who were using third-party vendors to put positive site reviews on the internet, like on Yelp or on TripAdvisor.
Yep.
So they got in trouble to harp down on that, and I think that's something a lot of your listeners should be aware of, because I know me, I use a lot of those sites to decide what restaurants I want to go to, or even various cities, whether or not I want to stay at a hotel and the like. So keep that in mind. While you should try as much as you can trust it, be aware that it could be this misleading. And, of course, so your listeners know, Obamacare enrollment starts today, so if you want to start shopping around for your health insurance, now's the time to start looking into it.
Well, that's good stuff. Well, looking forward to talking to you next week. See loophole.